Now we will be talking about tear production. To start, tears are produced in the lacrimal gland, shown here. As tears flow across the eye, they come in through holes that would be here and here, called the lacrimal punctum. The lacrimal punctum are not actually shown on this model. Next, the tears go into this structure shown here and here, which is called the lacrimal caniculus. The tears flow through the lacrimal caniculus into the lacrimal sac here, and then the lacrimal sac extends down and turns into the nasolacrimal duct. The nasolacrimal duct carries tears to the nose where they are deposited from the body. Now we will be talking about the structures of the eye. To begin, shown here, is levator palpebrae superioris. This is a muscle. As we take this off of the eye, first shown in white is the sclera. The sclera makes up the white of the eye. Projecting anterior is a continuation of the sclera called the cornea, shown here. The cornea is clear. The next layer, moving down into the eye, shown in brown, is the choroid. Extending anterior of the choroid is the iris, made up of the blue and green sections. In the center of the iris, there's an opening called the pupil, shown here. The size of the pupil is controlled by the iris. As we take the model and look at the inside of the eye, shown here in tan is the retina of the eye. This is the innermost layer. Shown here is ciliary body. This is muscle that attaches to the suspensory ligaments, shown here in white. The suspensory ligaments attach to the lens. So when the ciliary body muscle contracts, it pulls on those suspensory ligaments, which in turn changes the shape of the lens. Shown here in yellow, entering the eye, is the optic nerve. Where the optic nerve enters the retina, there is a blind spot called the optic disc. There is a blind spot because there are no photoreceptors there. Running within the optic nerve, there's the central retinal artery, shown here in red. It comes in and fans out to feed the retina. Shown here as a light-colored circle is the fovea lutea, macula lutea. The macula lutea is a spot where it is heavily concentrated with cones. Within the very center of the macula lutea, there is the fovea centralis, which only has cone receptors. This is a spot of sharpest vision within the eye. Now we will be talking about the chambers of the eye. The large chamber behind the lens, shown here, is the vitreous chamber. The vitreous chamber is filled with vitreous body, which is a jelly-like substance. The vitreous body is only produced once. The vitreous body is also what gives the eyeball the shape that we all think of. Next, we're going to have two chambers that sit in front of the lens. The first chamber lies between the cornea and the iris. So that would be this region right here. This is called the anterior chamber. Aqueous humor flows within the anterior chamber. The second chamber in front of the lens is between the iris and the lens, in this area right in here. This is called the posterior chamber. Aqueous humor also flows in this area. Aqueous humor is produced in the posterior chamber and then flows into the anterior chamber through the canal of Schlemm. There are 6 muscles that act on the eyeball. The first one, shown here, is superior rectus. The next one, shown here, is medial rectus. So this is on the medial side of the eye, near the nose. Opposite side of the medial rectus is the lateral rectus. And along the bottom, if I tip this up, You can see these fibers extending forward. These are from the inferior rectus. I spin the eyeball. This is the extension of the inferior rectus. Our next muscle, shown here in white, is superior oblique. Superior oblique comes and crosses over the top of the eyeball. Shown here in pink, this is the inferior oblique.